Marvel's Spider-Man tells a story about revenge, how it can change and transform one into something unrecognizable. Spider-Man 2 tells a story about the struggle with revenge, killing against the possibility of redemption. Spoilers for the game ahead. Death weighs heavily on Miles' shoulders. Grief for the death of his dad, guilt for the death of Finn. Should he kill Martin Li? Should he stop Li from getting more people killed, exerting his revenge in the process? Killing goes against Spider-Man's beliefs, for they believe in redemption, second chances. But who is Miles' Spider-Man? Who is Miles Morales without Spider-Man? Those are all dilemmas Miles has to solve to be the best version of himself, but he's conflicted. He doesn't know who he is without Spider-Man. That's why he has a hard time describing himself on his college application. He uses every opportunity he gets to avoid the question, actively focusing on Spider-Man work to distract himself from thinking about Miles. Every time he's doing something as Miles, he has the suit underneath. Not only it is a superhero staple, but for Miles, it symbolizes the fact that even when he is Miles Morales, he is also Spider-Man. But he's never only Miles. Spider-Man has taken over and Miles' stuff always comes second. Something he does even more when he gets obsessed with revenge. Miles is also afraid not to live up to Peter's Spider-Man, afraid to always be second best. Peter, on the other hand, is witnessing the rise of a new Spider-Man who has the same powers as him and a few more. He exerts the role of a mentor to Miles, helping him go through grief and the will for revenge. He actively believes in Miles' capacity and tries to rely on him, but Miles doesn't really believe he can handle it on his own. He's holding himself back. When Pete's being fired from the teacher's job, Genki comments on how hard it must be for Spider-Man to hold a job, and Miles takes it kinda hard. That moment denotes another thing both Spider-Man must figure out: balance. Earlier in his Spider-Man life, Aunt May taught Peter about balance, how when you tackle too much at once, you can't do anything properly. Both Peter and Miles struggle with balance. Miles is letting Spider-Man take over his life, and Peter is tackling too much at once. He's having a hard time holding a stable job, feeling like he lets Mary Jane down. While she understands, what kind of a life would they have if they can't financially support themselves? The duties of Spider-Man will always come first, so she feels like she can't fully commit, rely, and move in with Peter. That's why she takes the job working for J. Jonah Jameson instead of publishing on her own. She goes for the stable option because she feels like she has to provide. That's not necessarily how they feel as a whole, but these thoughts have a different grasp on one's mind. It might just be a feeling quickly dismissed because, even if justified, it might seem unfair, but those feelings have a way of holding someone back. Like Miles' fear of end up being second best, MJ feeling like her dreams are not taken into account, or Peter feeling like he should be stronger given the direct contrast of Miles' amplified powers. Peter is at his limit. He's falling short as Spider-Man, can't hold a stable job, and the life he's trying to have with MJ is suffering. Something has got to give. Unless... The black suit attaches itself to Peter in a moment that he will not be able to refuse. Peter wants to return it to his friend who needs it to survive, but the suit refuses to go back to its previous host. The symbiote had attached itself to Harry only as a means to survive. It was forced to it, but it chose Peter, and it saved him from death. The symbiote arc is a metaphor for toxic relationships and drug addiction. The suit quickly goes from a convenient set of new skills to something he needs to be a better Spider-Man. In the game, it also symbolizes the attachment Peter has with the Spider-Man persona. Before the suit, he is ready to take a break from Spider-Man to focus on his life. But the suit encourages the opposite. It focuses on that pride of being Spider-Man, and it isolates him from other parts of his life. It acts like a drug. He makes excuses to keep the suit and not to return it, like, I'm tired, let's do this tomorrow, or maybe Harry doesn't even need the suit, everybody wins if I'm a better Spider-Man, right? It's Miles' always being Spider-Man elevated to toxic proportions. It's not only about power, but about being the best Spider-Man or no Spider-Man at all. He changes his mood whilst under the influence and has the feeling that he needs the suit. One moment he's in an almost drug state bliss, and in the other he's hyper aggressive. He alienates himself from others. When threatened to get separated from the suit, he lashes out. He even experienced some of the feelings of withdrawal in gameplay because the abilities were so powerful. The relationship between Peter and the symbiote is toxic and self-destructive. It wants to help Peter in its own twisted way. It protects him, but it's overbearing, punishing anyone who hurts them. It wants to help Peter fight crime, but it finds killing as a permanent solution. It changes itself to suit its host, and it demands change from the host itself. It preys on his dark thoughts, exacerbates and twists them. The feeling that Miles is more powerful, so he needs the suit. The suit saved him, so he owes it. The pride in being the hero, so Miles and everybody else is against them. Their relationship dynamic is perfectly reflected on the Symbiote's theme, with the music similar to Peter's but with abrupt changes in sound. Made to feel like Spider-Man and the symbiote are composing together, like the symbiote is mimicking Spider-Man's theme in a twisted reflection, or Spider-Man is playing his tune with the influence of the symbiote. It's more aggressive and darker in contrast to the hopeful main theme. When Miles is fighting Peter with the black suit, and when he gets inside Peter's mind, we see what thoughts are the symbiote taking advantage of, and why is Peter so vulnerable to its influence. The feeling that he should be able to do more, be more, to be able to save everyone, the guilt for May's death, and the fear of losing MJ. There are always more villains, and the ones he arrests keep getting away. It's the futility of arrest against the finality of killing. Peter was always against killing, but it's a choice that has come with its fair share of guilt and regret. If he did, May would be alive. Both Spider-Man are dealing with the killing conundrum. Death is the core of the relationship between the symbiote and Peter. The suit needs Peter to survive. It saved Peter from death, and death is the solution for Peter's problems. Kraven is one of my favorite characters in the game. Although Peter speculates that his strength might come from some potions, it's left out in the open if it does, or if his strength comes from pure focus and living only for the hunt. Moral is a useless concept for him. There's no good and bad, there's only the prey and the hunter. A character inspired by the Viking warriors, he spent his life aspiring to be the best hunter. He believes there's shame in dying of old or sickness. Destiny defies him with sickness, and he deems destiny unworthy. As master of his own fate, he will choose it, and he dies only by the hands of an equal. His great hunt is nothing but the search of that. He kills most of the villains from the first game: Shocker, Electro, Vulture, Scorpion. He kills Peter. He doesn't care for either Spider-Man at the beginning because he needs someone with a killer instinct, but he feels something feral as soon as he sees Peter with the black suit, and he knows he has found his last hunt. Both Spider-Man refuse to kill, but Kraven challenges that. He sets Miles against Martin Lee in the hopes of awakening his killer instinct, and he pushes Peter and the symbiote to the limit to get them to fight to death. Kraven ends up victorious. Predators force the weak to grow strong. We shape the world. Not only did he manage to kill most of the villains he set out to, establishing himself as an apex predator, but he also died by the hands of a rival of his choosing and making, by instigating the symbiote to become Venom. In his last scene, he accepts death with open arms. A field of flowers in the background behind Kraven symbolizes paradise. Like the Vikings who would only reach Valhalla by dying a worthy death, Kraven has reached paradise and finishes his last hunt as the master of his destiny. To kill or to believe in redemption are the opposing ideas in the game. We see that Sandman is reformed, only causing havoc around the city because he's worried about his daughter. Tombstone has gone straight, working legitimately, and Black Cat seems to be reformed also. We even get a side mission with Quentin Beck where we are made to think like he has gone back to his villainous role as Mysterio, only to find out that he's actually innocent. As both Spider-Man battle the idea throughout the game, we are constantly reminded that redemption is a possibility. His eyes clouded with revenge, Miles sees Martin Lee as irredeemable and thinks he should kill him. Mirroring Martin in the first game, Miles' arc is to deal with revenge, guilt, and balance. By trying to carry on his revenge, Martin Lee has become the target of someone else's. When we fight Martin Lee as Miles, Martin only fights to survive, but even so, he seems okay with killing and would kill Miles given the chance. Martin's powers are quite similar to the symbiotes. He finds their deepest, darkest thoughts, twist, and uses them to corrupt. When he tries to corrupt Miles with his power, we see the image of the demon, the metaphysical manifestation of his power and will for revenge. But he looks different from the first game. He looks beaten, broken, and bound by chains. It might be because of his defeat by Spider-Man, because of his fight in the arena, or because of the treatment from Kraven's hunters. But I think it's a representation of the guilt he feels for his acts, and the consequential weakening of his will for revenge directly reflected on the demon. The idea of revenge, hurt and slashed by the guilt of his deeds. The demon locked in chains, so his revenge can't hurt anyone else. Martin finds out that he killed Miles' dad. After trying to corrupt him, he is defeated. But instead of killing him like Martin expected, Miles helps him escape. Later he goes inside Peter's mind with Miles to get rid of the symbiote, and he's again faced with the consequences of his actions, the death of Aunt May. Martin doesn't care for revenge anymore. He sees what he has caused and regrets his blindness in not seeing himself become what he despised. During the course of the game, Miles gets new powers when interacting with Martin, and we think it's because of the negative energy affecting his electric powers. But MJ speculates that it might be triggered by strong emotions. His first power, unlocked by his anger and will for revenge when faced with Martin. Another, by his will to keep going when Martin was trying to corrupt him into submission. And lastly, by letting go of his anger and revenge. Not forgiving Martin, but letting him be. Once Martin's powers were of revenge and corruption, now they symbolize redemption and cleansing. He gives up his power to save Peter from the corruption of the symbiote. Not only are his powers negative, changing the parasitic dynamic, but his intent is the opposite. The probably permanent loss of Martin's powers is also the loss of the demon, symbolizing his full arc of redemption and the birth of the anti-venom. Martin rid himself of his before cursed power and of his will for revenge. The demon is no more. Harry's relationship with the symbiote is complicated. He appears in control when we see Harry doing his best impression of Agent Venom. Even if he seems rash, those might just be some of Harry's personality traits. It's unclear if the symbiote develops its power to influence its host's psyche by feeding on its host's dark thoughts, its power, or both. But it definitely uses those thoughts to exert more control over its host. It's easy to assume that the symbiote became toxic in nature after getting in contact with Peter, but it was preying on Harry's toxic relationship with his dad way before it latched into Peter. Peter has been a superhero for over 8 years, and he has dark thoughts and regrets, even if he chooses not to give them voice or power. It's part of the job to doubt his actions if what he wants is to save as many people as he can. When he fails, he bears all the weight on his shoulders. Harry has been a normal person all his life. It makes sense that he would have less of these thoughts. those that the symbiote could take advantage of. Not only that, but most of the time the symbiote was keeping Harry alive, he was excluded from society, diminishing its power to twist emotions and interactions. It wants Peter as soon as it has the opportunity. It can sense his power and craves for the best host possible. The symbiote develops fast whilst latched into Peter. Peter is powerful and he has to use violence on a daily basis. Those dark emotions are more easily explored and the symbiote can feed on his power to grow strong. The two examples of the symbiote trying to reach something on his own are when he reaches for Peter and when he reaches for the rock. It's definitely drawn to sources of power and it uses them to increase its own. When Peter wants to destroy it, both the symbiote and Harry are united by the feeling of betrayal and become one by the mutual need of survival. Preying on Harry's dark thoughts and empowered by its own, it gets a bigger hold on Harry. From the poisoning of its host's mind, they become venom. The symbiote's not the problem, it's the solution for Harry's disease. If the symbiote changes itself to suit its host, and Harry is motivated to end all diseases, then venom will heal the world. The symbol on the rock means seed, apparently. Was mass infection the plan all along? Did the symbiote plant the idea of healing the world on Harry's mind whilst on the tank so that when it gets stronger it can use it for its ends of infecting the planet? Or is it only changing itself to fit its host and accommodating his desires? His dream of healing the world poisoned by the symbiote. Even the once hopeful music becomes somber with sound distortion simulating the now symbiotic relationship they have. I liked how, during the fight against Venom, Peter acknowledges he failed both Harry and the symbiote when handling the situation. When talking to Harry, he says, "You have to kill us." The symbiote pushes Peter to kill the whole game. Harry is talking to his friend, helping him make the choice. He means that he needs to be ready to kill him to heal the world of the symbiote plague. Venom finishing the sentence is a direct challenge to Spider-Man's no-kill rule. The fact that he won't kill and can't, especially his friend and especially without the help of the suit. Mirroring the moment when Miles kept Peter from killing Kraven and helped him take the black suit off, Peter removes the symbiote knowing that he will kill Harry. And just like that moment, Miles helps him to stray from that path by using his powers to save Harry. Harry is being kept alive by machines, but still alive. Killing was not the answer and hope still remains. By the end, Miles solidifies himself as his own Spider-Man. When Peter was at his lowest, Miles was there to help him. When faced with revenge, he abstained from it and managed to help turn his nemesis. When his friend was in a dark place, he reached and pulled him out. He doesn't need to rely on Pete's advice all the time. He proved again and again that he can make the right choice. Peter has decided to take a well-needed break from Spider-Man. He has been at his lowest and he needs to figure some stuff out, but he also needs to focus on his personal life a little bit. By taking the time to develop the foundation helping the world as Peter, trying to help manage their financial situation, and focusing on his relationship with MJ. She has moved in and started her own podcast. They can rely on each other, and Peter can rely on Miles and focus on other parts of his life for now. He finally managed to lift some of that weight out of his shoulders. Maybe next time we see him come back as Spider-Man, he has a family. Miles has filled the shoes of Spider-Man and he feels confident enough to be on his own. At dinner in Miles' house, Haley observes that Miles is not wearing the suit underneath. Miles is finding time to be just Miles by not sacrificing his personal life entirely. He tells Haley about his essay, the one that had to describe Miles without Spider-Man. He knows who is his Spider-Man and he knows who he is without him. By separating Miles Morales from Spider-Man and by taking a break from Spider-Man, both Miles and Peter are trying to balance their lives. Norman has finally developed the Goblin Serum, and both him and Otto seem to be after Spider-Man. Both villains having a personal connection to Peter. I'm really curious to see how he's going to manage his personal life, maybe even a family. The danger these two villains impose for him, Miles and Cindy, and the possibilities brought by the appearance of the Carnage symbiote. Norman is one of my favorite villains, and it's great seeing how he is slowly being developed into Green Goblin since the first game. Insomniac is brilliant in character development arcs. Hopefully, I managed to show you why I enjoyed the story so much. If you have a different perspective or something I didn't catch from the game, comment down below. If you like this video, subscribe to see more, and thank you for the overwhelming support and feedback from the last videos. I really appreciate it.